What's going on, y'all? Coming at y'all with another video today. I'm going to recap the 1990 NBA Hoops boxes I opened off camera a couple weeks ago. Opened 3 of these boxes, and my total for the 3 boxes was $314. So that's about $100 a box, depending on tax and shipping in your area. And this is what the box looks like. I was lucky enough to snag one with MJ on the front, which is pretty sweet. So there's a lot of pretty iconic cards in this box, so that's kind of why you see the inflated price to this Junk Wax Air box compared to other Junk Wax Air boxes. So today I'm just going to go over basically what I got in my 3 boxes, what you guys can look for from your boxes, and kind of the cards that you want to keep an eye on and pull out if you're opening these packs, or if you find some Junk Wax Air cards. So let's get into it. First off, obviously probably the most iconic player from in NBA history is Michael Jordan. So Michael Jordan is obviously a guy you're looking for. And here are the 2 Michael Jordan cards in the set. Here's his base card, and then this is his All-Star version card. In my 3 boxes, I pulled 3 of the base and then 4 of the All-Star cards, which I thought was okay. I was hoping for a little bit more. I was hoping for an average of 2 per box. I got an average about 1 per box, so I was happy with that. Compared to other cards, like this is kind of a random one, but Clyde Drexler, I only pulled 1 Clyde Drexler base card in the entire 3-box break, so I'm glad that didn't happen with MJ. But another Michael Jordan card, which actually isn't a Michael Jordan card per se, is a very iconic card that has become very sought after in the recent time, is Sam Vincent. The Sam Vincent card is famous because it has Michael Jordan featured in his number 12 jersey. And that's the only time Michael wore number 12, because he lost his jersey before the game. They believe it was stolen. So he had to wear number 12 for 1 single game. And this is the only card featuring him in that number 12 jersey. So this has become a very sought after card. In a PSA 9, this goes for about $150. In a PSA 10, you're looking for over $500 for this card. Now for the 2 other MJs, it's similar prices, a little bit lower. I'd say a little bit less than 100 for a PSA 9, sometimes over 100 for a PSA 9. And then for PSA 10s, again, about $400 to $500 for those Michael Jordan cards. Moving on, the next, the Sam Vincent, I pulled 4 Sam Vincents out of the break. So again, about an average of 1 Sam Vincent per box, and I was happy to get 1 extra. Now, I would say definitely another iconic card from this set. Really wasn't iconic until recently, until people realized the significance of the card. I mean, this card was probably worth maybe a penny 10 years ago. This is the 1990 Mark Jackson card. This card is famous, as many of you know, because the Menendez brothers are in the background. These kids were famous for killing their parents, and they killed their parents because their parents were very wealthy, so they got a good inheritance from their parents, and they used that inheritance to see the Knicks courtside, which is pretty funny. It's not funny their parents died, though. But anyways, Mark Jackson, that's a famous card from the set. I pulled 4 of those cards. Again, I was happy to get 1 extra. I was hoping for about 6, but I got 4. In a PSA 10 or 9, they go for about 100 to 150, somewhere in that range. And a PSA 10, again, is going to be over $500. So those 4 cards are honestly the cards that drive the set up a lot, because all of the PSA 9s go for about 100, and the PSA 10s are looking at $400 to $500. Now, one thing to keep in mind when opening old Junk Wax Air boxes, PSA 10s, especially with PSA becoming a little bit more harsh in grading, you're not really going to come across that many PSA 10s. So you want to keep that in mind when you're calculating potential profit on the boxes. I just assumed out of my boxes I was going to pull mostly 9s and 8s. I didn't assume any 10s were going to come out of there, and to be honest, I'm not sure if any did. A lot had chipping, some corner issues, so I'm hoping for PSA 9s, and if I somehow get a PSA 10, I'll be happy with that. obviously I'll be very ecstatic with that actually, but we will see, and I'll show you guys that when it comes back from PSA, probably in the next 5 years, hopefully. So in the next card, that is, I would say this is a top 5 card in the set. There's an exception to that, and I'll kind of talk about that a little bit later. But this is going to be the Shawn Kemp rookie. This is definitely the most iconic rookie in the set. Shawn Kemp is not a Hall of Famer, but he's an iconic player. Many compare him or compare Zion to Shawn Kemp just because of explosiveness, and he was definitely good in his prime. He was a great player in his prime. So his rookie is sought after in the set. Like I said, it's probably a top 5 card in the set value wise. So you know, PSA 9, you're looking for about $50 for that Shawn Kemp card. 50. Sometimes it can go for a little bit more, like 60. And a PSA 10, that's going to run about $200 to $300. So it's definitely a good card to look out for. Shawn Kemp was interesting because Shawn Kemp was also very popular in the 90s. So that rookie card of Shawn Kemp was probably, back then, was probably the most sought after card in the set. I'm not entirely sure because I wasn't born in 1990. I was actually born in 97, so I wasn't collecting back then. So I'm not entirely sure, but I would say the Shawn Kemp rookie was probably the most sought after card in the set at the time. And I pulled 6 of them, so I actually got 2 per box. So it was honestly one of the more common cards in the entire break, which is kind of interesting thinking about how the value back then was a lot higher on that Shawn Kemp rookie. But I think that's just luck of the draw. I watched one break where a guy pulled like 4 MJ All-Star cards out of the same box and like 2 base. So like he got 6 total MJs out of one box. I wasn't lucky enough to have that happen, but with that Junk Wax Air, it's just like there was really no quality control, or like they didn't really care about you getting doubles, so you kind of just got what you got. But anyways, moving on. So I would say out of any set in the 90s, in the top 10 to 15 cards in the set, you're going to have Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Those are probably the second and third most iconic players from the 90s, and they have 4 total cards combined in the set, and I'll show you guys those now. I've got the Magic base, and this is the Magic All-Star, the Larry base, and then the Larry All-Star cards. Now these cards, I actually pulled 10 Magic cards total, and then I pulled 10 Larry cards total. These cards I would not suggest grading. This is, especially with like the new price hike at PSA, as you guys know, their bulk orders went from $10 to $20 on per card. So it's definitely not worth grading at this point, because PSA 9s for both go from anywhere from $20 to $30, and then PSA 10s are going to run you $10, or no, excuse me, not $10, $100. As I mentioned earlier, you're not going to pull a lot of PSA 10s. That's not going to happen very often. So just keep that in mind when opening the cards. Those cards are nice to have, but I wouldn't personally take the risk in grading them at PSA. Potentially they have some chance to appreciate if you grade them with like a lower end grading company like SCG, for example. They have you can have a bulk order with them for about $8 a card, so potentially maybe it's worth it then, but I would say probably not. I'm considering it, but probably not even then. Now, if PSA prices were still at $10 a card, I would say go ahead and grade them, because more than likely you're going to get 9s, and if you somehow get a 10, that's a good return. But since it's $20 a card, if you get an 8, you're gonna lose money. So keep that in mind with those. Now, some other kind of cards to look out for. These are basically all rookies from here on out, outside of one. So the next card I'll go over with you guys is the Phil Jackson card that's in the set. This card was, again, not until literally very recently. This is probably like within the last 3 or 4 months. This card was basically worthless, but now, kind of just with the spike in all the prices of the cards, people are looking for this card even more. So keep an eye out for that card. I believe I pulled 3 Mark Jacksons. PSA 9s go for about $20 to $30. And a PSA 10, the most recent one sold for $90. About a month ago, they were going for about $50. So I think it's on the rise. It's a card to look out for. It's potentially on the rise. It could just be the fact that the $90 sale was kind of an outlier. It was the only one on eBay and someone really wanted it, so they bought it. Again, this is a card that's not worth grading, but it's a card to definitely set aside when you're opening the boxes, because in lots it could be good sold raw. So anyway, so the next 4 are all rookies outside of one. It says a rookie, but it's not actually a rookie. And this card I found very interesting. This is actually the David Robson Rookie of the Year card. Again, this is not actually his rookie card. His rookie card was the year before this. I pulled 5 of these cards in the boxes. It goes for about $20 in a PSA 9 and $100 in a PSA 10. However, it's a card that's on the rise. There's now one on eBay that has 4 days left with bids, and it's already over $100. So this is a card that's potentially on the rise. It is his 2nd year card, and it says rookie on it, which not a lot of cards back then said rookie on it. So I think that is a little bit more sought after, because Hoops was, I would say, one of the first products that actually said rookie card on the actual card itself. And even though this isn't a rookie, it says rookie on it, so I would say that probably drives the value up a little bit more. So that's a card to definitely look out for. It's a card I set aside. I didn't realize the 10s were going for so much until I looked it up on eBay myself. So I may or may not grade some of those. More than likely not, though, because PSA 9s could be a loss. Or PSA 8s would definitely be a loss. So the next 3 are all rookies for sure. These are kind of just the secondary guys to look out for. And one is very interesting that I'm going to go over with you guys. So first is Tim Hardaway. This card's pretty nice. Tim Hardaway was a decent player in the NBA. I pulled 4 of these. They go for, PSA 9s go for $30, and PSA 10s go for about $130. So that's one, if you feel like you have one that's really nice, it may be worth grading, but only if it's like really, really sharp and you think it has a chance at a 10, then it's worth grading. But outside of that, I wouldn't grade it, because PSA 9s, you bet you're going to break even. PSA 10 or PSA 8, you're going to take a loss. The next one is Glenn Rice. Now, Glenn Rice was interesting. I knew Glenn Rice was a more famous player and a little bit better player than most of the commons in the set. Well, I couldn't find any of his graded on eBay sold. So none of the PSA 9s were graded, none of the PSA 10s were on there. So I don't know the prices of those cards, but potentially with a low pop report, it may be worth grading. But it's definitely a rookie card I would pull aside from the set. Now, the last one is Drazen Petrovic. Now, I definitely butchered his name. I didn't really hear this guy until recently. I'm assuming he was a pretty good player. I'm not sure if he's in the Hall of Fame. It's something I should have known before the video, but I'm sorry I don't. I'm not entirely sure if he's in the Hall of Fame. I ended up pulling 5 of these cards. Now, this is probably the most interesting card to me in the set. I'm not sure what happened with this, but in a PSA 9, it goes for about $30, which makes sense if you look at the rest of them. I mean, the higher end cards in the set, like top 10 cards outside of the top 5, are mostly $20 to $30 in a PSA 9. And most of those cards go for about $100, $120 in a PSA 10. However, this card goes for $300, over $300 in a PSA 10. The latest sold went for $333 in a PSA 10. I'm not entirely sure why. I immediately thought it was due to a very low pop. Well, I went and looked at the pop report, and the Tim Hardaway had, I believe, 47 10s on the pop report, and the Petrovic had 42 10s. So, not sure why it's so much more, especially since I feel like Tim Hardaway is a little bit more known of a player, especially since his son is in the league. So I'm not really entirely sure why the Petrovic goes for so much more than every other card, but it's definitely something to look out for. I believe if you have a really sharp one, it's probably worth grading, just because, I mean, if you can get a 10, it's probably going to be a little bit less than $300. But it may be in that $200, $250 range, so it may be worth it. So that's basically what I got in my 3 boxes. I would say, I just looked on eBay, these boxes are actually on the rise. A couple went for like 170 bucks recently. So I would say right now it's probably not worth it to open these boxes and grade the cards, just because I would say I didn't expect a lot of PSA 10 condition cards, but I expected more than I got. I believe I'm grading about 20 cards right now for sure out of the cards I opened, and I'm not sure if any of them will get 10s. So take that with you know, how you will. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe I got unlucky and just got boxes that had cards in bad condition. I'm not entirely sure, but I would keep that in mind when buying these boxes and opening them. Now, if you're buying them to hold the sealed box, I believe that is worth it, because I've already seen, I mean, these boxes were 20 bucks probably a year ago. Now they're, you know, they were 80 bucks when I bought them, and you know, now they're up to like 170, so they might be a good box to hold on to. However, I'm not sure if they're worth opening. But anyways, guys, that's all I have for you today, so I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll catch y'all next time.